everybody, the History Guy here. Welcome to a new series. It seems to me that no matter how hard I try to get away from the Millennium Dawn mod, the modern day mod for Hearts of Iron 4, you keep pulling me back in. And the reason why is because it seems to be that every time I start one of these series, no matter what nation I play as, it's one of my most viewed series on YouTube. So I can't get away from it. So about a week and a half now after ending my series playing as Germany, I have taken the advice of several of you who have recommended I ought to give it a go as Kim Jong-un of North Korea, who happens to be in the news today over a canceled summit, but I'm not going to get into the politics of all that. I just want to bring North Korea to glory on the world stage beginning January 20th, 2017, the day that Donald Trump's elected president. Now, a couple of things up front that I want to say before I dive into playing as North Korea. Number one, while Millennium Dawn has a ton of depth as far as national focuses go for many nations, that is not the case for North Korea. I have basically a generic national focus tree. So there's nothing special, there's nothing uniquely tailored to North Korea. So that's unfortunate, but it doesn't mean we can't do some pretty interesting things. That's one thing. Number two, obviously, manpower is going to be an issue. My manpower, I've got almost 300,000, but the problem is that this is a nation that already has service by requirement. So it's not like I can improve my manpower by tighter conscription laws. I'm already there. There are some things I can do as far as decisions and research go that can help with that as far as national focus, and I'll get into some of that as the game goes along. But there's nothing I can do as far as conscription laws to improve things. Obviously, another big issue with North Korea is that I only border two nations. One is South Korea, which has its independence guaranteed by the United States, and the other is China, who I have no reasonable possibility of contending with. So I have to think about other options because Japan's not really an option. So really, as far as expansion go, I'm probably looking at Southeast Asia, Vietnam, Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, and Myanmar. So those are probably the direction I have to go. Not great options, and unless I can get military access through China, what I'm looking at is needing a navy. And I have a navy to a degree, but it's mostly just some really weak submarines. So I'm going to have to focus on navy, and it's going to take me some time before I get into position where I can even think about going to war. So I'll have to respond to world events as they happen, but this is going to be a slow starting series as far as just not having a lot of options in the first couple of years until I can start to shape my country the way I want to. I also only have 2 threads for research. So the first focus for me as far as national focus goes is going to have to be in the political focus so I can get myself down to get these 2 research incentives and unlock some additional slots for research. It's desperately something I need to do. So we'll do that. We'll focus pretty heavily to start on the Navy just because I have to. Probably industry as well. So it looks like I've already got nuclear power, so that's good. I can create nuclear bombs, which is just, makes sense. So we're going to focus a little bit, I think, on Navy to start. I'll get everything set up, and then I'll kind of talk through what I decided to do. All right, so I'm just about set up the way I want. I'll put one army of 24 divisions down here on the border with South Korea. The rest, 31 divisions, are going to be basically garrison duty to start. I'm not too worried about any threats from China. I only have 2 military factories and just a handful of civilian factories. So, man, this is going to be an uphill climb. It's going to be a challenge, but that's fine. I like a good challenge. So we're going to queue up some armored divisions. That's kind of honestly all I've got at the moment. You know what? Maybe not a bad idea. Maybe I go the route of paratroopers and do that. So we'll see. But honestly, I'm just not going to be able to queue up all that much to start here. I'm guessing I probably don't have any nuclear reactors, but let's go ahead and build one. Yep, I'm not producing any at the moment, so I'm going to have to build a nuclear reactor so I can start producing nuclear bombs. And then I've got to get my equipment production going, but honestly, there's not much else I can do right now. So, it's going to take a while to get going here. All right, so the end of March, a couple things have happened here. Our political focus has been complete, and the UK has triggered Article 50. Also, I did not show this, but ISIS was defeated here in the Middle East. So you can see now we've got Syria, Iraq, and Kurdistan right here. So nothing really major happening in the world other than that thus far. A couple things we can do now, though. One of them is we're going to focus on internal politics. We're going to continue down this focus tree here. As soon as I get these research things unlocked, then I start focusing on industry, because I desperately need more industry. I have none, and the fastest way to get it is through national focuses, just because it's going to take me so long to build with so few factories right now. So we'll get that going, and government, as far as that goes, I'm going to change my immigration policy and open up my country as soon as I get to 300 points. Okay, so I guess this is probably something that concerns me a little bit. President Donald J. Trump has given the order to deploy an armada toward the Korean Peninsula as tensions in the region grow significantly. Trump stated to reporters, "We are sending an armada, very powerful." Hold on a second here. Far more powerful than the aircraft carrier. We have submarines, that I can tell you, and we have the best military people on Earth. And I will say this, he is doing the wrong thing. He is doing the wrong thing. He's talking about me. He's talking about me when he says he is doing the wrong thing. Hands off my country, Donald Trump. Kim Jong-un is not messing around. All right, so let's start looking at Naval Focus. I'm in the process of upgrading to 1960s era technology with a submarine nuclear reactor. Not even close to anything significant, but we're going to go for submarine 3 at the same time. And we just completed our main battle tank to get that up to 1990 era technology. So a long way to go to modernize this nation. Theresa May calls a snap general election. So a lot of things happening that were historical in the year 2017. We'll see how it all plays out. All right, there's submarine nuclear reactor. And we also have the ability to go ahead and get the country open the rest of the way now. I'm also going to think about a little bit of decision making as far as engineering goes. Emmanuel Macron has become the president of France. Trump fired James Comey as the FBI director. Let's work on experimental rockets. I mean, I am Rocket Man after all. All right, so now we go to open country. North Korea is slowly becoming a normalized nation in some ways. So we can see my my population there. I'm watching that. It was 18.04 million. It's up to 18.07. Hopefully we'll see some significant growth as I've opened up my nation, and that'll maybe help a little bit with the manpower. Okay, internal politics is complete. We continue working down this line. Recruit more administrators is going to give me 15 political power, which isn't much, but it also gives me a plus 5% base war support, plus 5% improvement in the popularity of the Communist Party. And then we've just got a couple more to go, and we'll start unlocking these additional research slots, which I really need because I'm so behind in terms of a lot of different areas with technology, and that's got to be caught up to speed before I start thinking about expansion. All right, so I'm looking at political advisors now because obviously stability is a terrible problem for me. 22% stability in this country, so there's obviously some things I need to do to work on that. Not entirely sure which is the best way to go about it. But in this particular case, I think I will probably go with no, we'll go here. We're going to take that 10% bump in stability, which only gets me to 32%, but every little bit's going to help, and it's going to improve everything else across the board. Looking at research, I got 70 days until experimental rockets and submarine 3 are completed. Oh, man. Hold on. We've got a decision here. The USA's arrogance shows no bounds. Mr. Trump feels like he can threaten us, but we will see about that. Supreme Leader, is now the time to act. Let us wipe the U.S. scum from the face of the earth and free all those enslaved by them. If not today, then one day soon. Should we act now? All right. I am not declaring war on the U.S. and South Korea, so no. We'll gain the national spirit, bolster the military, which grants a boost to recruitable population division recovery rate. That works. Yeah, so no. We're going to try to stay on the U.S.'s good side for as long as humanly possible. My national population's up to 18.16 million now, so I do see an increase happening. I've been getting a lot of notifications for the things to do with Trump and Brexit because I have the Trump and Brexit edition enabled. But nothing that really affects me except that one that I just showed a minute ago. Alright, so lots of terrorist attacks happen around the world. Let's go ahead and take a look at National Focus once again. We are one step closer. As soon as we complete this next one, we will be at research incentives. So that's something I desperately want to get. In addition to that, I'm about to hit 150 again on political power, which means I can unlock another advisor. And I think this time around, I'll probably, let's see, political power gain, ideology drift defense. There's a lot of different options here that can really affect things in some pretty significant ways, but I've got to see what's going to actually help me the most. Some things just are going to have a pretty minimal impact. Yeah, if there's something else that would help me with stability, honestly, that's what I'm hoping for the most, but I just don't think that's an option right now. I guess this one right here, improved relations, opinion, stability, and political power gain. That's probably the way to go. So I get another 5% boost in stability. My political power is going to go up a little bit faster. And we're 9 days away from experimental rockets and Submarine 3. So North Korea's nuclear test created tremors around the world, literally and figuratively. Shockwaves were first picked up at a seismic station 230 miles away in China, where the needle sprang into action less than a minute after the blast. Seconds later, the tremors reached the instruments in South Korea and Japan, and within 12 minutes had been detected in Canada, Australia, and at the observatory in Scotland. More than 130 stations recorded shockwaves, which after 20 minutes had reached as far as Argentina, 12,000 miles from the test site. All right, so I don't know what that's going to mean for me, because I am the threat in that case, but we'll see. All right, here's our research, submarines and experimental rockets. So obviously we can go ahead and upgrade to producing Submarine 3. Now I'm going to go ahead and queue up these amphibious assault ships, even though it might be a while before I actually use them. Let's look at air power for a second. We're actually not too far off on the planes. So we'll go ahead and get these multi-role fighters going. I'm actually seeing an increase in manpower now. I guess part of that's probably from my stability increase, but also, of course, from my population going up. That's all going to be good as soon as I can get in a place where I can produce a decent amount of military, because right now I just don't have the factories. All right, so investing in public service is complete. I'm looking at China. I don't want to look at China. I want to do my own national focus. Research incentives here, that's going to give me a reduction in research time, a slight boost to recruitable population, and then that's going to unlock the extra research slot when I get down to the next one. Just thinking ahead a little bit about what comes next. One of the things I want to do is improve my relations with China. What I'm hoping will happen is I will improve things to the point where I can get them to allow me military access, which then opens up a land route to some of these nations in Asia, which certainly should make things a little bit easier for me. Beyond that, my manpower is starting to move up a little bit, so I don't think I need to focus too heavily on manpower. I think what I'll do is I'll go extra research slot, and then I'll immediately switch over to start building up my industry. And I'll have a bunch of things I can do there. But again, it's all going to take some time. It's going to probably at least be 2020, I think, before I'm in a position where I feel like I can take anybody on with any expectation of success. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and choose this guy right here, who's going to give me a plus 0.1% weekly stability increase. Now, it's obviously also going to move me slowly toward other forms of government, but it's not going to let me do it. I am not democratic in government. That's right. Alright, so we're going to go right here then. No, that's not what I was thinking at all. I think we'll just kind of hang on to our points for the time being until I decide something else I want to do with those points. In the meantime, still a long way to go on these current technologies that I'm going with. There are a few things I can do here if I choose to, including encouraging enlightenment values, which will improve my stability, but decrease some other things. But I think that's probably a good trade-off. That gets me up to 41% stability now, which slowly moves me in the right direction toward a more stable government and therefore a more prosperous nation. Alright, it's January 2018. We've got research incentives complete. I also completed my first paratrooper brigade. So we're going to create an Airborne Corps, and we'll place all those other ones into that same unit when the time comes. And now we're ready to unlock an extra research slot. Of course, I have to do these other two first. Alright, so that's going to improve my research time. That's fine. We can do that route. And then going right here will improve decryption. Then we can get there. Then we can start our industrial focus. So it's a slow process. You don't turn around a backward nation like North Korea overnight. That's for sure. So I want to take a moment now that we're a year into the game and take a look at some of the changes that have already happened in the world. Number one, Australia is now a fascist nation. So Belgium and the Hungarian Empire have left the European Union. We've got the Hungarian Empire, who is fascist. Korean Republic. Now, this is a really interesting development because if South Korea has turned to fascism, okay, they're still being guaranteed by the U.S. because, boy, that changes everything if the U.S. no longer decides to guarantee a fascist government in South Korea. That could make my life a whole lot easier. But for the time being, that's not the case. Anyway, let's go ahead and go back and look at what else has happened. Zimbabwe is fascist. Monarchist, nothing really surprising there. Islamist, again, nothing surprising. Let's take a look and see. Socialist, Greece. Some of these are probably not changes either. Communist, China, Cuba, myself, Laos, Vietnam, nothing surprising there. So there's really very little else of note at the moment, but I'm sure that's going to continue to change as we move along further. Alright, so this may be the Kim Jong-un in me coming out right now, but I have made a decision to go ahead and start preparing for my first war. I've started justifying against Vietnam, a fellow communist country. It's going to take until October to do that, but that'll happen before I know it. And in the meantime, I've started preparing my divisions for a naval invasion. Now, I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know what kind of military they have, but I'm going to prepare that. I'm also going to get some additional units in a second follow-up army that I can get going for that as well. In the meantime, I've also got a research slot available to me. So I think we're going to do some decryption because I want to have a better idea of what's going on before I decide to launch that war. But in the meantime, we'll prepare for that. There's a few other things I can do, but I'm going to try to figure that out as I go along. Let's look at Chief of the Navy because right now the Navy's kind of what I need to worry about. No, I guess that's not going to help out. So maybe Chief of Army then. I'm going to go with organization. Alright, let's prepare for war. Alright, so National Focus is complete for the extra research slot. Or not yet. One more thing. I keep forgetting I've got one more to go. I've also started preparing a second naval invasion. So we're going to try to land at multiple locations in Vietnam all at once. The idea being that even if he stops one, he can't possibly stop all. So I'm going to plan at least 3 naval invasions at different areas in the country. One of them will be landing down here to try and hit Ho Chi Minh City. We'll land one up here north of Hanoi and one in the middle of the country. Hopefully that's going to work. Alright, so in the meantime, I'm also going to be working on China and trying to get their approval to allow military access. It'll make my job much easier because I'm limited as far as how many. I can only take 24 divisions at a time in naval invasions based on my current technology. So I'm looking at Ideological Crusader right here because it gives a plus 175% same ideology monthly opinion. And of course, China happens to be of the same ideology as me. So as I also am working on improving those relations, that'll help. And right now I have 10 positive, 20 negative, so I need to get that positive number higher than that 20 negative in order to get him to approve my military access, which is going to be a big factor in me being able to successfully navigate attacking Southeast Asia. In the meantime, fascist South Korea is still guaranteed by the United States. Doesn't mean I can't maybe stage a coup there at some point. But we're about to expand the Secret Services. We'll finally be able to get that extra research slot. We'll be one step closer to starting to improve the economy. Alright, this is actually going to be helpful here because I can select Cold War transport ships. It's only going to take 60 days, and that'll improve my naval invasion capacity. And I'm also working on amphibious assault ships. So I should be able to start working on a 3rd naval invasion order in time for the October invasion of Vietnam. And there's Expand Secret Services. Now we can get that extra research slot. It's going to take a while. That's going to probably take me past when I attack Vietnam. Yeah, I know. I don't think I can assign this yet. The Irish state has left the European Union. So naval invasion order right here. Like I said, I probably can't do this yet, so I might need to wait until that 60-day research is up. Okay, there's our Cold War transport ships. I'm going to go one more time with all of that. It's going to take another 82 days, but it's going to give me another plus 20 on my naval invasion capacity. And that's going to be really helpful. In the meantime, let's go ahead and take a look and see whether or not we can queue up this additional naval invasion now. We're going to come down right here. We got to hit enter. Alright, and then we'll take a look and see. Alright, so we've got 3 separate armies prepared now to invade. It's August. We've got just 2 months left until this happens, and boy, the game is not liking this at all. It's getting laggier and laggier as I go along, but that's Millennium Dawn. That happens. We're preparing. That's all I can do. That's all I can hope for. And then we'll see if it succeeds. Well, there's something you don't see every day. A coup in Vatican City. I don't even know what to think about that. I gotta see who took over. Very interesting. Well, I mean, it looks like Pope Francis is still in charge, so I'm not entirely sure what that was all about. Let's take a look and see if anything else has changed in the world. We'll look at the fascist governments. It looks about the same as it did before. Nationalists, about the same. So yeah, not much else has changed at the moment. Nothing really having a big impact on world tension at the moment. Just the Islamic State, Russia annexing Crimea, but nothing that has happened since then. Alright, well, I'm at the place where I have to make the decision about war. My justification is complete. However, the more I think about it and the more I look at it, I just don't feel like I'm ready. For one thing, I don't have enough convoys to even complete my naval invasion plans. Also, I've got a lot of manpower now, and I'm thinking if I just spend a little bit of time. My original plan was 2020 was kind of the time, but I was kind of motivated by my desire to make this more interesting for the viewer. But I think long term, I'm going to be better off if I wait. So while that may not be fun for all of you, I think it's the best thing for my slowly improving nation if I just hold off for now on any plans for war. So I'm going to go ahead and allow that justification to go without being fulfilled. Because I'm about to get an extra research slot. I'm going to start focusing on military industry. I'm going to be able to vastly improve things in the near term. The other thing I need to do here is production-wise. I'm going to finish the sub that I'm currently working on, which will be done in about a month. After that, I'm going to switch over to building up my convoys so that I'll be in a better position. Because when I do decide to invade, I've got to do it with overwhelming force at multiple points so that I can hurry and take this country before he has a chance to recover and push me out. Because when you invade like that, you're dealing with an issue of the possibility of just losing your divisions altogether. So that's something I want to avoid.